Hi people, Marino Ravenberg here as always. In this video I'm going to be discussing the concept of gossip or gossiping, and as the header of this video suggests, how toxic gossiping is. But yeah, let me just dive right in. I'm pretty sure that most people out there have heard of the saying, great minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, and small minds discuss people. And yeah, that is true in general. You've seen that meme circulate on the internet if you're watching this video 9 out of 10 times most likely. If you haven't seen it, then well, now you're aware of it. And yeah, you can take it figuratively. You can take it at face value figuratively as well as literally, because both apply. And yeah, to just cut right down to the chase, gossiping is not good. It's very toxic and it's petty. Okay, petty gossip is just an indicative of a small-minded individual, someone that is low vibrational and that is usually not someone that you would want near you if you're a well-developed, enlightened person, even up to a moderate extent. Because yeah, usually the so-called smallest of people, spiritually as well as overall, they gossip about others. And yeah, like I said, gossip is just that, it's petty, but it's not a black and white matter. Listen, talking about something, an event that occurred, is normal. That's not an issue. Talking about something that happened, an event, you name it, that's normal. That's what news outlets thrive on. That's why the news exists. The news as a whole globally is gossip, okay? But the news discusses noteworthy events. And of course you have lower ranked news about stupid things that don't really, that are still relevant judicially, but that don't really, that's not automatically recommended to know by a lot of people. For example, woman gets raped by man and whatnot. That's more on the lower end, but that's still feasible. It's still acceptable. That's not petty gossip. But when I'm referring about the toxicity of gossip and of gossiping as a whole, I'm talking about when people talk about things that are completely irrelevant and things that do nothing for the excellence in you as a person. That's definitely something. If you do stuff like that, then you better believe that you're going to leave it, that you need to leave it behind if you want to become a better person. And if you do become a better person by default, you'll stop doing stuff like that, okay? You'll not want to do things like that because, for reasons I already mentioned, because it does nothing for the excellence in you as a human being. Examples that I can give are discussing completely irrelevant details about someone. Again, I'm going to give examples in this video to just make the line drawing clearer. Okay, to make it clear in terms of what is acceptable regarding this subject and what isn't really. It's fine to talk about someone if, for example, you got hit by a car, or you got hit by, your house burned down or something like that. The same way that as an occultist, people talk about me globally, that's also gossip, but that's normal because people have spoken about me globally, about my skill, etc. You can easily find me online. It just goes on and on and on and on and on. That's normal, okay? That is normal. But what isn't normal is discussing stuff such as the kind of clothes someone wears, the house that they live in, what they drink, whatever about what they do for a living in the smallest of details. Those things are just, honestly, I pity some. I don't, but I should pity someone. You should as well, in general, pity someone that is such a deadbeat or such a loser that the person actually has to gossip about stuff like this. I mean, just imagine that. I'm already seeing myself gossip about my neighbor and what clothes he wears and what he does when he wakes up in the morning and and his hair. Believe me, unfortunately, I've encountered this in the workplace way before I was an occultist, lifetimes ago. back when I still work regular jobs, but these jobs were very toxic in the sense that they were deadbeat jobs with no future prospects of any kind. And yeah, unfortunately, you'll come across those kinds of people, and that's the environment, okay? As a result, I saw colleagues gossip about each other, including me, okay? And they're gossiping about the smallest, most insignificantest of things. Because that's better than just sitting around and not saying anything. Nah, that's where the saying, it's best to not say anything if you can't say anything good at all. That's where the saying has merit. That's where that saying comes in. I mean, seriously, do you not have a life? And yeah, believe me, in environments or even in entire countries that are usually beyond worthless and crappy to ridiculous extents or ridiculous levels, this is a common habit that these so-called people have. They gossip about everything and everyone because they themselves have no lives to occupy themselves with. So they simply end up gossiping about others. I'm not saying that I haven't made no mistake, okay? I'm not saying that I haven't been guilty of this in the past. I have been. But like I said, back then, life was just misery. So I was also in a low vibrational mental state or state of mind. Yeah, of course, it did nothing for me in terms of bringing out the excellence in me, or it did nothing for me as a human being. Okay, but that's also one of the many reasons life was crap back then. Okay, I was just a heap of misery, and okay, that's one of the trademarks of misery. No, generally speaking, no successful, normal, well-developed person will enjoy petty gossip. Like I said, it's normal to talk about something that's a global announcement or a domestic announcement to the point where it affects the majority of the population. Again, either globally or domestically. What isn't normal is that you discuss those idiotic, completely irrelevant details about someone. Hey, my neighbor went to the dentist yesterday. I'm simply going to look at you and I'm going to say, wow, that's so fascinating. Please tell me more. Okay, which dentist did he go to? I mean, who gives a flaming fuck? No one gives a shit. I mean, how is that even remotely interesting, or how does that even contribute to making me more knowledgeable? No. Listen, if my neighbor's house burns down, I'm like, okay, hey, you read that piece about the person whose house burned down in the paper, or you saw it online in the newspaper outlet's website? Yeah. That's my neighbor. Oh, really? Yeah, it's my neighbor. I knew him like for 5 years, okay? He was my neighbor for 5 years, and then I saw his house go up in smoke. Unfortunately, I couldn't help him. That is normal. See, that's normal gossip, okay? But petty gossip is talking about, what kind of clothes the guy wears. Hey, you know something, my neighbor, he always, he wears these kind of pants that have holes in them and whatnot, etc. How the fuck is that relevant? Okay, listen, if the guy is so shabby that the guy wears clothes that are so raggedy to the point where he looks like a hobo, and yet the guy lives in a nice house, then listen, mentioning that is fine. That's not gossiping, because you're not going too deeply into it. It's simply something that stands out as an exceptional trait, and then you simply, just by sheer coincidence, mention it as in, hey, there's something funny that I noticed about my neighbor. I'm not the kind of guy that pays attention to stuff like this, but he wears these really raggedy clothes. We're talking about the guy looks like a thingy. He looks like legitimately like a homeless person, and yet he lives in one huge mansion of a house. Don't you think it's kind of weird? That is normal. See what I'm talking about? That is normal. Okay, it's not a black and white matter. It can be hard at times to draw the line, but yet the line can be drawn in terms of what is acceptable regarding gossip and what isn't. This is normal, but that's only something bringing it up once, and you're like, I don't know, no idea. I don't know. Maybe he deliberately wants to make people seem that he's poor, Marino. All the while he has money, or he only invests all of his money in, or he invested all of his money in his house, his mansion, and he has no money to buy clothes, normal clothes. No idea what's going on with him. That's normal. For the rest, you never talk about it anymore because it's not worth mentioning. See, that's normal. But to seriously just discuss things on a day-to-day basis, and as in, hey, this and this and that, My neighbor has 5 daughters, he has 2 children. His 5 daughters are all ridiculously ugly. One of them has it. I mean, seriously. Explain to me how that does anything for you. It just, like I said, only people, very low vibrational people will do stuff like this. Again, come to the notification that these people are also very parasitic in nature, the likes of which I've mentioned in many of my previous videos. This is one of many trademarks that parasites have, human parasites. Okay, petty behavior, which includes petty gossip, is one of them. Hoarding is another. I can name a couple of examples. Okay, usually people that are beyond worthless will display these character traits. But again, I've seen this, so this is not just based on knowledge. I'm pretty sure that a good deal of you watching this video have at least encountered it once in your life as well. Of course, something like that doesn't even remotely faze me or bother me. Back when people gossiped about me, it didn't really faze me. I just didn't care. I'm not going to bother with something like that, something so irrelevant. But it's kind of sad to see for someone to be so lacking in self-worth and value that the person actually disintegrates, okay, and thingies themselves, relegates themselves to the point where they discuss this they engage or indulge in petty gossip. It's just very sad, Again, it clearly tells or says to the world that you have no life of your own, so you need to excessively focus on the lives of others. Okay, in the smallest of details. Now, in any case, in this video, I have made it clear in terms of what's acceptable and what isn't regarding gossip. And although gossiping as a whole is not exactly, it's not a sin, okay? It's neither here nor there. Okay, like I said, it all depends. Gossiping as a whole would, generally speaking, not be recommended. Gossiping is not a virtue, but there's also nothing wrong with it. Let's just say it hits neutral ground in terms of morality. But yeah, I've made it clear in terms of what is, generally speaking, from a moralistic perspective or viewpoint, acceptable and what isn't regarding gossip. So yeah, I hope to have made it clear. If there were any doubts in terms of clarity for those of you that are watching this, and I'll see you guys around. Bye.